Hello, welcome back this week. This is Scarlet and Rage podcast. I am Michael, and of course, Jay, my co-host, is here with me, and we have a loaded show. And I have probably for some Buckeye fans, what may be considered a little bit of a hot take, and so we're going to get into that here in just a few minutes. But in the meantime, Jay, you are. Coming off a little bit of a disappointing weekend. And so I know you were going to share a little bit about that. So tell me about it.
Well, Michael, to the layman out there, one of my hobbies in life is training in mixed martial arts. I do kickboxing, Muay Thai, uh, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and wrestling. So, what I did yesterday was I competed in the IBJJF Open here in Charlotte. Gi, wearing a gi, if people don't know what that is, it's basically just really, really, really strong. Well, actually, no, that's incorrect. A Brazilian jiu-jitsu gi, which is really, really tough material. It's not meant to be like it's meant to be grabbed and thrown and this, that, and the other, grabbed aggressively to prevent tearing and stuff
So,
because it's a
so much
grappling art.
harder than no gi, in my opinion. I mean, I know no gi's got its challenges too, but I just always love no gi. Gi, I always just feel so heavy and slow.
Yeah, man. See, I'm the opposite, dude. I will say this, man. After the yesterday, dude, I think no gi is. I'm probably just going to do that from now on. Regardless, so like a bracket came out of my
No,
age
I
group.
agree. That's what I was saying is I love no gi.
Oh, you love no gi? Okay,
Yes.
my bad. I
Yes.
misheard. Okay,
Mm.
yeah. All right. Hmm. All right, that's awesome. I like them both equally, but I feel like no-gi is better for my talents and my, speed and everything. But I competed yesterday. Uh, had one fucking match, first fucking round. Went against a guy. Not to take anything away from the guy, who was very good. He was very strong. Um,
How many
you know,
stripes did he have? Did you see? Did you even notice?
no, that doesn't matter, man. I don't pay attention to stuff like
Okay.
that. It doesn't matter.
Well, I didn't know
Um,
if they were like, hanging off his belt,
Nah, I don't
if
know,
you could see.
man. You
Yeah.
never know, dude. Because again, there are people. I will say this for the layman out there: you can be a wipeout in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but that doesn't mean you also were not a 4-year wrestler in high school, which gives
Mhm.
you a lot of years in grappling advantage.
Mhm.
You could have done judo for 10 years and just be like a wipeout in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I don't know. You don't know who you're ever up against, which means the belt is irrelevant um, in all martial arts, honestly, because there are just some people that are just naturally more gifted. Regardless, I competed yesterday, and in my first match, I lost, and by the referee called it an advantage for the other guy. Uh, just to simplify things, Michael, I shared with you the video. I asked you honestly before even telling you the result. You said, "Who do you thought won?" Right? Who did you think won?
Yeah, I mean, it was very close, but I thought you won just because I felt that you might have had that one takedown. I didn't notice that they didn't give you any points on that. I mean, did kind of see that the ref didn't do anything. He didn't get, so I guess I
Mhm.
should have assumed you didn't get the points, but it looked enough like a takedown to me that I kind of gave you the points in my head for that first one.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, looking at the video, you can make an argument there were two takedowns there. Didn't get any points for either one, and he was a little bit more aggressive at the end because I gotta be honest, I was really fucking tired the last 40 seconds. I didn't have a lot left, but I
Mhm.
don't know how much he did. He threatened like some kind of like shoulder lock. It wasn't there, and I think they gave him the match again in a ref's decision. Second time I've lost in a fucking ref's decision. I didn't get submitted. I didn't even get swept or anything. They gave it
Yeah.
to him off of that, and I was really surprised. I actually like made a little bit of a fuss. I'm like, what? Like how? I just want to know. Like, I didn't get an explanation from him, but they didn't count either one of those takedowns. And to make the matters worse, I had a buddy who was actually in the same bracket as mine
Mhm.
competing. He went against a guy. He got destroyed. The guy destroyed everyone else he went against and won the entire thing. So basically, I got matched. Like not trying to brag here, but the championship was literally just a luck of the draw in round one.
It was an Ohio State Georgia semifinal.
Pretty much, yes. I would say that's a very good analogy. It was an Ohio
Yeah.
State-Georgia semifinal, literally right off the bat, and I got unlucky getting matched with him. He is very good. I'm not going to say, I guess I should say I'm pretty good too. I should have more confidence in myself. I expected to do, at least medal or something. I've been feeling good about my grappling lately. I've trained hard, and it's just, it just is really upsetting to be really working hard for this for so long. You go out there, compete for 5 minutes, and then it's over.
Yeah.
It really fucking sucks. And it's like, why? Why am I going to spend money to do this anymore? It's just a fucking waste.
Well, Jay, I know it can be difficult, but because you got better yesterday, that's why. It sucks, but you got better.
I will say this. I would beat that guy in no gi. The gi helped him. The gi helped him, and it stopped a lot of my wrestling. Again, it's hard to fucking shoot on people when they have my collar and he's stiff arming and using his bone. It's hard.
That's
I can't do any kind of Russian tie or anything like that. Like, it's really fucking hard. And I didn't feel he had something of judo in the background, because he did in the video. I don't know. He did almost like sweep me, like not sweep me, trip me up and almost. But again, like, I had the balance. He wasn't about to pull that shit on me. But
yeah, I saw him trying to do that.
Yeah, and it was pretty good. Like, I didn't feel comfortable breaking his grips and having him come in on me with any kind of inside trip, outside trip, something like that. I didn't feel comfortable just breaking the grip so aggressively. So it kind of like limited what I could do, but he wasn't doing anything either. So I don't know. Regardless, I should have got those 2 takedowns, or at least one, and I would have won the match from that.
Well, that's exactly why I like no-gi, because I like to do takedowns. I don't like to do throws. I hate judo. I do wrestling takedowns. I'm not the greatest at them, but I do them. That's what I go for. And those are really hard in gi. The gi really impedes those. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, the gi is all for like throws and stuff. You can still do wrestling takedowns off of them, but it's a lot harder. So
it's a lot harder. Yep.
Anywho, this is not a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu show. I just wanted to vent, and really the biggest reason why I even wanted to vent about that is because people are going to ask, like, why do I have a black eye? Well, now you know. My wife doesn't beat me, even though I guess I could claim that. So, Michael, Ohio State played Maryland yesterday. That's why we're all here. Mm-hmm. Obviously it was tied up. I watched the highlights. I watched the second half. I have some thoughts about the game, but sir, you have some very strong opinions. Very concerned, strong opinions on your end in Buckeye land. And you are concerned. Should the people be concerned? Should we all be concerned, sir?
Well, I think you should. And some people are going to say that that's crazy after what on paper looks like a good victory. And in reality, it was a relatively good victory. I'm not saying it wasn't, but there are things that just really concern me about this game. Number one, what is going on with the offense? Like, what in the hell is the 2023 Ohio State offense? It's discombobulated. Everything is hard. There's nothing easy. It's like Ryan Day is going to set up and make things as difficult as he can on the personnel that's out there. He's going to bring more guys into the box than's necessary. I mean, if Jim Tressel in 2006 Michigan can run 4 wide receivers practically the whole game, why are we in 2023 with this passing guru offensive coordinator of a head coach doing the sets that we're doing? I mean, is Lou Holtz in Ryan Day's head that bad that we're going to do these bunched in sets with that brings defensive guys into the box to exacerbate an already glaring problem with this offense, which is a not very good offensive line? And now we're going to bring more people in for them to deal with. And Joel Klatt, I don't even have to have any kind of great insider analysis. He was calling it all day. He was like, the offensive line is completely being stalemated and is not even getting close to the second level. And therefore there's nowhere for the running backs to go because the linebackers are running free. And, I got a little better in the second half. Obviously, the defense did a good job and got a couple of turnovers, which really helped. But man, I mean, what is this offense, Jay?
My question to you is the biggest difference between last year and this year, and it's kind of gone unnoticed. And I have a question. Do we miss Kevin Wilson?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That was part of one of the things that I was going to address. Do you want to talk about that now?
Yeah, let's talk about it now. Let's
Okay.
talk about last year and like the formations we've had the last couple of years with Kevin Wilson, especially under his guidance and football acumen. Like the guy was an offensive guru. I mean, he was an offensive guru at Indiana and Oklahoma. I believe he was the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma for a little while too.
Yep.
But that spread, and he led that. Those great offenses with Sam Bradford, DeMarco Murray. Back in 2008, which one of the best offenses I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Jermaine Gresham, former Bengal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and obviously they had a lot of talent, but he's such an offensive wizard. That's the biggest difference besides like not having Stroud and 2 elite offensive tackles, but we don't have him anymore. So now Ryan Day is calling all of the plays without Kevin Wilson. And I know he appointed Brian Hartline the offensive coordinator.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. But it later comes out and Ryan Day admits that he's still calling the plays. So
yeah. So Kevin Wilson was the run game coordinator last year, and now Justin Fry is the run game coordinator. And Justin Fry was paid $1 million. I don't. There are certain things that, on principle, aggravate me. I don't care if Ohio State coaches make $1 million. I'm glad when, if Ohio State like went out and got some proven offensive line coach and brought him in and paid him $1 million. I'm more than glad for that. That's fantastic. But some things on principle aggravate me when a guy comes in, doesn't bring in a good recruiting class his first cycle, has NFL talent on the line. The line does well. We still don't run the ball well last year. I mean, we run it okay. We run it much better than we have this year, but it's not like the offensive line was just killing it in the run game last year. And we're going to raise the guy to $1 million for what? What did he do to get $1 million raise? Well, this class, he is again having another subpar recruiting class. The offensive line is certainly not overachieving. I'm not necessarily saying it's underachieving. I don't think it's an extremely talented offensive line, but they're not overachieving by any means. And the run game has taken even more of a step back when it wasn't stellar in 2021 and 2022. But everything else in the offense did so well, it didn't matter that much. But this year, it's really showing up because he wants to go in more of these run-heavy sets and run the ball, all of these stretch running plays. And I know that a lot of people have worn this out, kind of like, they've beat this horse to death, but the stretch plays to the boundary. It's like that's our new run game, is we run stretch plays to the short side of the field. I mean, we're running pass routes early in the game that are just sit down routes. Our fast, good wide receivers are just going out and sitting down and trying to find little holes in zones, and they're covered up. I mean, I'm not saying that McCord didn't miss maybe an open guy or two. Maybe he did. It's hard to tell when you're watching it on live TV, but guys were not like open. And I think a lot of it was the scheme.
Did McCord miss Marvin Harrison at the beginning of the game? Like one of the first series did they like throw deep to him or something? That was a discussion. And I missed the first quarter. I didn't really get a chance to rewatch it and anything, but did he miss Marvin Harrison on a deep throw and on the first drive?
I don't remember him missing him on a deep throw. He missed him on an easy, little swing screen type pass over to the side. He certainly underthrew him on a deep throw, and then he really underthrew Julian Fleming in the second half.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering the first drive, because I know some people were asking if he hits Marvin Harrison, does he score? I read, reading on some blogs and stuff, and I don't know. I would have to rewatch the game. Sorry, everybody, I didn't get to watch it.
Maybe I'm just forgetting a play in there. But back to the coaching staff. This is a mismanaged coaching staff. Another reason that I'm concerned. Ryan Day has incredible resources with his coaching staff. We don't have an offensive coordinator. We have a full-time special teams coordinator and terrible special teams that never make a difference ever, special teams that never do anything special. In fact, special teams that continually make gaffes that just basically decently well-coached special teams don't make. We had another one yesterday, Jay. You know what I'm talking about?
The failed fake punt, right?
Yeah, which Day said in the press conference was not a fake punt. Sure looked like one to me.
What?
Yeah, he said it wasn't. He said it was just a bad snap.
Okay. Well, I mean, if he's being truthful, I don't know. I did see a replay of it. Half of the people seemed like it was, planned, and half of them didn't. So there must have been a major miscommunication somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Again, all this guy does is coach the special teams, and we're down a defensive coach to have Parker Fleming on there, who also got a raise this offseason. So
yeah, I don't understand that.
These are the kind of things that make me question Ryan Day. He did win his 50th game yesterday, Jay. So everybody, is happy about that. That's great. I'm not saying he doesn't have a good record. I am saying projecting into the next, he doesn't have a national championship here. So he's not beating Michigan lately. He doesn't even have any, Big Ten championships in the last 2 years. So yes, I get it that he's got a great record, but I'm saying, looking at the big picture, can Ryan Day climb the mountain and become the best team in the Midwest again? Okay, that's got to happen first before we start talking about national championships. Can he become the best team in the Midwest again? Because on his clock, Ohio State has gone from king of the North, king of the Midwest, to second fiddle to Michigan.
And basically what you're saying is Ryan Day deserves no benefit of the doubt, correct?
Correct, because this, okay, so let me go on with the staff. So we hire Brian Hartline. We pay him $1.6 million to be a wide receivers coach over on the sideline. And we have no offensive coordinator. Day is calling the plays, and we've got Corey Dennis in the booth. That's where we miss Kevin Wilson. We went from having Kevin Wilson, a very sharp offensive mind and seasoned former head coach, in the booth, to now we've got Corey Wilson in the booth. We've got Brian Hartline being paid $1.6 million to be the OC, which he is not. And we've got Ryan Day, who was supposed to be stepping away to become more of the Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Urban Meyer's CEO, and instead he is becoming more of the OC than he's ever been, because he doesn't even have the help of an input from smart people like Kevin Wilson anymore. And
yeah, it's concerning. I can't say you're wrong on any of that, but I'm just going to say, I'm going to play the optimistic role. I picked Ohio State to win 34-21 last week, and they won 37-17. They covered the spread.
Yeah,
they covered the spread. And let's be real, Maryland is probably the fourth best team in the Big Ten. They're not a bad team. No. I would say they're a legit top 25 team. They might even be a top 20 team. They probably have the most athletic receiving corps outside of Ohio State in the conference. Like, I don't see Penn State's receivers that are all that great. They just have Nick Singleton, who I guess is struggling this year. Their offense is really nothing to write home about. It's their defense that gets it done. And then Michigan's receivers aren't great. They're good, but I don't know. I guess Maryland, Michigan receivers are probably pretty even. So there, they're probably the second best group of receivers in the conference outside of Ohio State. And for the most part, we covered them. Like, our defense did well. I know there's some major concerns and spots with our defense that could be rectified, but we held a good offense, not a great offense, a good offense to 17 points.
Yeah.
And one of those scores came off a short field.
Yeah, I'm not disappointed in the defense. I think Jim Knowles is doing, so far with the sample size that we have, he's doing a good job with the defense. From everything that I can see so far, if we have this defense last year, we probably win the national championship.
No. We do win the national championship. There is no probably. We do.
But this offensive line this year is as bad as the defense has been the last 2 or 3 years.
What did I see? Did I see a stat that we had 1.9 yards?
1.9 yards rushing per carry against Maryland.
Is that including with the sacks, though, or just running the ball? That's
including the sacks. Just running the ball, we averaged 3.2.
That's still not great, but it's not terrible. So, yeah. I mean, we started to wear on them at the end of the game. I think that's where we started to enforce our will, and Maryland was kind of defeated when Marvin caught that, what was it, a 3rd and 19 touchdown?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's, Maryland was kind of done after that.
Yeah, I mean, they gave it all they had.
They did.
I figured the chances were high that we were going to just out-talent them at some point, and we did. And it's like they'd given everything they had. They put up their best fight. And, then when it was over, it was over. They collapsed. And so, that's good. That's the sign of the better team. But this, maybe by the end of the season they will be. But right now, this isn't a top 25 team. So, take that for what it's worth. We should be wearing down and out-talenting teams like this. And speaking of top 25 teams, the big win this year was against a team that is barely a top 25 team. I mean, Notre Dame is like maybe at the highest a 15th, but probably more like an 18th to 20th type of team in the country. And we beat them by 1 foot, and we're tough for doing that. Ryan Day, his Lou Holtz speech is settling worse and worse with me as he continues to go out and stubbornly try and run the ball. And that's fine. Like, if you can at least get 4 yards a carry against Maryland and control the line of scrimmage, they weren't doing that.
Question.
Yeah.
Is Justin Fry Ryan Day's worst hire as a coach?
Coach? Not worse than Kerry Combs, but
okay.
His worst offensive hire, I think, yes.
So you think Kerry Combs is worse than Justin Fry? Why?
Well, because he had total control of the defense. If you would have brought Justin Fry in and made him the offensive coordinator, he might have rivaled Kerry Combs.
Okay. I see. Okay. So the point with Kerry Combs having like complete control. Okay.
Yeah.
I can get that. But I will say this. Kerry Combs, was a bad defense coordinator. Terrible defense coordinator. Elite recruiter. Yeah. What has Justin Fry brought to the recruiting game at all?
Nothing.
I'm still looking for his big fish. Where is it? It's not in sight. I'm looking. Like, where? Where are you, buddy? We just lost Brandon Baker.
Mark Nave just was processed out of the class.
Okay, yeah, that's great. We shouldn't be settling for guys like that in the first place. Bravo. Yeah, sorry, guys, we didn't address that last week. It was kind of like literally just happened right before our podcast. That's great. He's, supposedly not Ohio State material. Just because you're from Ohio doesn't mean you're going to play at Ohio State. Sorry, most kids don't.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we going to get the guy to, for Mark Nave's spot? Where is that elite offensive lineman at? Jordan Seaton is supposedly that guy, but I have absolutely no faith in the staff to land him at all. Jordan Seaton. He plays at IMG.
Oh, yeah.
He's from DC. He plays at IMG, and he's listed as a Florida guy. He's not from Florida. He's not a Florida guy. He's a DC guy. The Big Ten footprint, Maryland territory.
Mm-hmm.
And, supposedly it's Ohio State and Alabama, and I don't know who else is after him, but supposedly those are the top two, and he favors Alabama.
Of course.
Is it because of their offensive line development? Because we just had a first rounder last year, and then the DeJuan Jones is starting for the Clowns. Like, what the fuck?
No, I don't think it's necessarily because of that. I think it's because Justin Fry sucks as a recruiter. That's starting to become more and more of a possibility to me that he is a crappy, shitty recruiter.
Yeah. So here's, that's my thing. It's like people want to blame NIL, NIL, NIL. We're not having problems getting the 5 stars at the positions where the position coaches are, the strongest. Heartline, Larry Johnson. Larry Johnson and all his struggles as a coach now, he is still an elite recruiter for the most part. He does have 2 5-star defensive linemen in this class. You can't complain about him this class. I know he missed on edge, but
Buckeye Scoop made a point a few weeks back. They said, "Can you imagine the fan base's reaction if Larry Johnson recruited like Justin Fry?" And that was a good point. Because Larry catches a lot of flack, but can you imagine if Larry recruited like Justin Fry?
Oh God, man. Oh man. It would the fans will want him fired yesterday.
Yeah.
Justin Fry's just kind of hiding. I don't know. Maybe he's not a very outspoken individual. Maybe he knows his place. He's just being all quiet and stuff. But I will say this personally, again, this is my biggest thing. Indiana's going to have a new head football coach after this year. I hope it's Justin Fry. Just get him out of Columbus.
Yeah.
Okay, Ryan, you fucked up. You hired the wrong guy. Go get a real offensive line coach, one that actually has a background at landing top-level offensive linemen and is a grinder and is going to get the most out of your players, because Justin Fry is not him. He's had, a year and a half now, and he's just not getting it done, man. And Ohio State's not the place where you can crawl, walk, run. You get to Ohio State and you got to be sprinting right away, because that's the expectations, man. If you don't like those expectations, go cheer for fucking Indiana. Go freaking cheer for Northwestern. Go cheer for Florida right now, or somebody that's like middle of the pack. That's not Ohio State. You have got to be the best of the best to be a coach at Ohio State, a GA, a player, a head coach. That's that. Those are the expectations. Line drawn in the sand.
And you know what? I said over the offseason, and a lot of people got upset with me, that I was not happy with the Brian Hartline thing. I said I understood it because Day was desperate to keep his recruiter that got the 5 stars. I understood him trying to do that, but I knew that this was not something that was logistically going to be a great fit, because you've got a guy that's never called plays. Again, someone who's never done something, trying to do something at Ohio State. And I knew that with that being the case, that was going to mean that he wasn't going to do it, that Ryan Day was going to continue to do it. He wasn't going to give the keys to Brian Hartline, because let's say he does give the keys to Brian Hartline, then he has to find a new wide receiver coach, because I don't know of anybody who can coach a group as large as wide receivers on the sideline, be getting them in and out of the game as they're supposed to be getting in and out of the game, and call the plays. Like, that's, you can't.
I know that was a very, a lot of fans made that point before the season. They're like, how is Hartline going to be able to coach the receivers and call the offense? And then that's when everybody knew. It's like, okay, well, he's not calling the offense. So why is he listed as the offensive coordinator? Just pay him more fucking money, man. Just pay him. Ohio State has the money. Give him the money to be give him offensive coordinator money as a wide receiver coach. Problem solved. Ohio State actually just prints money, gives it to him. And in this case, it's okay.
Yeah. You know what I would say? If I'm Ryan Day, legitimately, and there have been times in the past where I have, not to the extent of Ryan Day, but there have been times in the past where I've had to run staffs, where I've had to hire people, I've had to fire people. I've had to set people's pay rate. So I do have some experience to do that. Again, not 7 figures like Ryan Day, but I do have some experience doing that. If I'm Ryan Day, I go to Brian Hartline, I say, Brian, we have to have you. We need you. You have a place here. You have a future here at Ohio State. I want to raise you to $1.1 million and make you the highest paid wide receiver coach in the country. And I'm going to go out and I'm going to get one of the best available offensive coordinators in the country, and I'm going to pay him. and you're going to be the co-offensive coordinator, and you're going to learn under him, and you're going to learn under me. And because I'm going out and getting the best offensive coordinator, he's probably only going to be here 3 or 4 years at the most. And then he's going to go be a head coach somewhere. And then you're going to be ready to step in and call the plays from there. And then I'm going to pay you as the offensive coordinator. And I'm going to go out and get the next best wide receivers coach I can in the country. And you're going to help him to continue to bring in the wide receivers the way that you've already done. That's the way I would have done it. And if Brian doesn't like that, I'm sorry, then it doesn't fit within our program. We're just going to have to find a way to get wide receivers without Brian.
And I tell you what, I think we would, because our passing game, again, yesterday was a real struggle at first. I had my doubts about Kyle McCord, but I tell you what, when Ryan Day actually put the faith into Kyle to make the throws and open up the offense, Maryland really couldn't stop Ohio State. Ohio State needs to be aggressive on offense. Throw to set up the run. Stop trying to run to set up the pass. It's not going to happen. We don't have the personnel to do it. And that's fine, because the best teams in the country, in the NFL, throw the ball the best teams. Yeah, it's simple. Who has the best, not just the quarterback play, but everything. Pass blocking, the receivers, the route concepts, the speed, the explosiveness, the timing. It's the forward pass is the most important play in football. Who can utilize it the most and who can defend it the best are the best teams, period. I know that football is a line of scrimmage game, but it is a line of scrimmage game based on also throwing the ball around, pass blocking. That's it. That's why edge players are so important. Now, create disruption, corners, safeties who can cover in space, that kind of thing. But again, Kyle McCord was very good in the second half. Can't complain about it. He put up 320 yards of offense. I think it was 320 yards, and that was like, a late start. It's like we started opening up the offense, and they couldn't stop us. So
I'm not down on McCord. I mean, I think McCord's doing his job.
He's become better than I thought.
Yeah, he's improving.
He really has.
He's improving. He's doing his job. I just don't think Ryan Day is setting him up optimally. As good as Ryan Day is at the pass game, he is almost equally bad at the run game. He has almost like no intuition or feel for the game as to when to run the football. He runs the football at weird times. It's like it's forced. It's like he gets determined that he's going to run at certain times in the game, and it's just very strange.
Well, that was what Justin Fry was supposedly brought in to do, is to fix our run game, and that was a failure. It is a failure right now. It is a massive failure.
It is.
He's honestly, his seat is getting warm right now, Justin Fry's, and that's really all I can say. We've been that. Again, this is the only podcast probably out there that's really getting into Justin Fry. And so what, man? He's not earning his paycheck right now. Until he does, we're going to keep on him, because his coaching is not very good and his recruiting sucks. It sucks.
Yeah. And he's being paid like an elite offensive line coach. He's being paid over $1 million for this kind of production.
Yep. So let's move on to the defense a little bit. Not much complaining to be done. I thought the secondary played very well against Maryland's pretty athletic receiving core. I think we sacked Talia a couple times. So
Tuimoloau had one. He had one. He had 1.5 actually.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know Alex Stiles had one.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Hall had one too at the end of the game when Maryland was kind of defeated.
Okay.
So we did get after the
3.5.
Yeah, I think so. So the defense played well, definitely as a unit. Can't complain. I think Maryland had 300 yards of offense. Can't complain about that. But I will say there's some tweaks that need to be made, and they started to come out some, and I think they need to become more prevalent as time goes on. Number one, less Jack Sawyer, more Caden Curry and Kenyatta Jackson. Those two need to be on the opposite side of Tuimoloau, because Jack Sawyer, to this point in time, I don't know what it is. He's not providing anything, man. He doesn't. Again, you're playing two strong defensive ends, like power bull rush defensive ends at the same time, and
Mhm.
it's just not creating any havoc. You need to be creating like massive havoc in the backfield, and they're not doing it when they're in their game. They're both bull rushers, and the offensive linemen are just, I don't know, they're ready for it or what. They're not getting the job done. Tui Malau seems to do better when he has Caden Curry or Kenyatta Jackson on the opposite side, but Kenyatta and especially Caden are just so much more disruptive and explosive than Jack. Like that's where Talia was under the most pressure is when one of those two was on the opposite side of Tui Malau.
Yeah, and I think that Ohio State fans will be much more happy with Tumaloa when they just accept that he's not that dominant edge rusher. It's like we see 5-star defensive end, and I did it too. I'm guilty of it, and I think dominant edge rusher. That's not JT Tuimoloau. That's not to say that he can't put together a decent year this year as far as sacks go with, maybe 5 to 7. He still has that possibility, but that's just not the type of defensive end he is. He's a good defensive end. He's a good run stopper. He causes problems. He creates issues with the offensive line in plays, but he's not a dominant edge rusher. And Jack Sawyer is just not developed based on what he was billed as.
No, total bust. And again, I've said this on another podcast. It's just a bad luck for somebody to, be struggling as much as he is. He sat out his senior year for just no reason other than he just didn't want to supposedly get hurt or anything before going to Ohio State and stuff. It's just not a good look, for him. Right now to be struggling as much as he did. Maybe it would have helped him more to play his final year of high school ball and work more and not play offense and just be completely a defensive end his entire senior year. But again, he basically missed, an entire year of football.
Yeah.
So he's behind the curve because of that now.
Yeah. Now, another defensive player that I do not question his toughness at all, but I've never thought he was a great player. And again, this is probably going to upset some people. This is probably going to go against the grain. I'm in a negative mood tonight. Okay. I'm not positive after watching the Maryland
Michael
game.
is the rage to the Scarlet.
Yeah,
I'm the Scarlet today. Michael is the rage. If you
yeah,
haven't noticed.
I am. I was, I couldn't stand what I watched yesterday.
I know, man.
I couldn't.
You were texting me. You were texting me like, "Did you watch it?" Sorry, my voice. I'm getting over a cold.
That's all right.
That's what happens when your kids are in daycare.
And so, again, I know some people are going to think that's crazy because we covered the spread and this. I get it. Fine. Yes. But I couldn't stand what I watched because I know that what we watched and what I have been watching for the last few weeks is not going to beat Michigan. It's not going to beat a team in the playoffs, whether that team is, probably Texas or Florida State or Alabama or Georgia. It's not going to beat those teams. And what I'm watching is right now, you might be generous with your 7th ranking of what I'm watching. What I'm watching, yeah, they're probably at best 7 and maybe as low as, 8, 9, or 10. I mean, maybe Oregon could be better than this team. I don't know. I haven't seen them play a lot. Washington could be better than this team. There could be 7, 8, 9 teams better than this team.
I said that last week, by the way, Michael. Remember when I went about my rankings? I'm like, Ohio State to this point, they haven't proven to me they're a top 5 team. They're still not a top 5 team, in my opinion. I think they're barely top 10. I would put them about 8 because Oklahoma beat Texas yesterday. I didn't have Oklahoma ahead of Ohio State. I do now. Texas was Ohio again. I still have a Texas as a top 5 team. I have Alabama ahead of Ohio State. Slowly, Alabama's getting good. I was like, hey, we better hope Texas A&M beats them because that's the only loss I see on the rest of their schedule they could have until the SEC championship. It did not happen. So be prepared. Alabama's going to make the SEC championship, and I could see them beating Georgia.
These game plans we've seen up to this point in the year, Alabama is going to be like, thank you very much. You are neutralizing your biggest weapons and you're playing to your weeknesses and you're playing right into our strengths. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Here's this, I will say it's becoming redundant and it's a little sad, but it's just, look at the talent composite, but You know who's starting to look like the two best teams right now, Michael?
Ooh.
Alabama and Georgia. Because I tell you what, Georgia yesterday, they play like that. Nobody's beating them. Not Washington, not Oregon. Nope, nobody.
Yeah.
I don't see anyone. I think Michigan could maybe hang with them, but they just don't have the overall top end talent to beat Georgia.
And on the talent composite, Ohio State is a hair's breadth away from Georgia.
Right. It's
But
pretty even, Ohio State and Georgia. Alabama's like a step above.
But that's not showing up.
Yeah,
That's not showing up on the field.
No.
And
well, I'll tell you what. You know why? And you know one of the reasons why? You know, like a player on Ohio State's defense, he's getting a lot of accolades. I don't really know why. Do you know there's a player on Ohio State's defense that is starting, gets a lot of praise, who I believe would not see the field at Georgia or Alabama. Do you know who that is?
Tommy Eichenberg?
That's a great guess. I think you cheated because I texted you about it.
No, listen, before I went on my rant, I was about to say that while I don't question his toughness, I don't think Tommy Eichenberg's that great of a player. And I set it up saying I'm probably about to make a lot of people mad, because
that is true.
Yeah. So I was about to get on Tommy Eichenberg, and then I went on a rant about the offense and what I saw yesterday and forgot to say it. But yeah, I am, but yeah, you did text me about that, but I'm in total agreement. Tommy Eichenberg is very meh. And if you go back to our very first episode, or one of our first episodes where we went down and we broke down the defense and we got to linebackers, I went, not excited.
I'll tell you what, man, Tommy Eichenberg is a stat stuffer. And you know who I compare him with as a linebacker?
Who?
Now, he's not getting the same praise. And, a lot of people think I'm crazy. James Laurinaitis. Probably one of the most overrated Ohio State players I have ever seen. I think he even won the Butkus, which is crazy because AJ Hawk was 10 times better than that guy.
Yeah, he was.
I would not put James Laurinaitis in the top 5, maybe not even the top 10 linebackers in Ohio State history, but yet he has the most hardware just on name alone. And he was one of those guys who could jump on piles and get credited for tackles. But in the big moments, he was always getting beaten coverage and losing contain or lack speed. Tommy's the same way, man. Like, I believe yesterday against Maryland on a big gain, he's trying to play out in space and he's just not fast enough to get there, or he does get a hand on him. He's not able to make the tackle, or it just seems like against the better offenses, he's getting targeted in the passing game and he can't make tackles in space. And really the same could be said for Steele Chambers. Like, at least he has some athleticism and stuff. He doesn't have the length or the overall size you would want for an elite linebacker. But damn, dude, Talia shook him. Shook the fuck out of him on that touchdown run. It was dirty. I'm like, man, dude, go take a fucking bath after that. That was bad. That was bad form tackling, bro.
Yeah, the linebackers are underwhelming. I mean, the defense has been good.
That is the weakness. That is the weakness on this team are the linebackers and the, not substitution on defense. But outside of that, the defense is elite. I mean, but the problem is you're only as good as your weakest point, because your weakest point is where the offenses are going to attack you. And they're going to keep attacking Tommy and Steele for the rest of the season.
Yeah. And I mean, especially when if you get against when you get to Michigan, you don't think Michigan is going to see that Notre Dame is having success running the ball, that Maryland was having some success running the ball. God knows who else is going to have success running the ball. Maybe Wisconsin, maybe Penn State, maybe Michigan.
Isolating our linebackers and on passing downs and stuff. Oh yeah, absolutely, man. I swear. I had a dream that in our nickel package, that CJ Hicks and Alex Sonny Styles were our linebackers. Can you imagine if those were our linebackers with Tui Malau? So you put them at linebacker, put Tui Malau at defensive end, and then Caden Curry or Kenyatta Jackson on the opposite side. That is a seriously fearsome, fast, long, explosive front six.
Yeah, I like it, but it's like they love Tommy and Steele, so like it's never gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen, man, and it's unfortunate unless they like get hurt and get miss the year. It's not gonna freaking happen. And that's unfortunate. Like Knowles is stuck, and I just really wonder what these guys in practice are doing to deserve all the reps they're getting because on the field is just lacking. They're not. They're. I mean, they are Ohio State caliber players, but they're not like Ohio State caliber like starters.
Well,
Like
Knowles' big thing is how gap sound these guys are supposed to be. Well, they haven't been that gap sound at times this year, and so
yeah.
I just wish that he would at least feather feather them in. Like, why does Tommy have to have all the reps? I mean, why can't we feather some of these young guys in to see if maybe
I know Cody Simon played some yesterday, but he's not the guy I really want. I really want CJ Hicks.
Yeah.
That's what I want. And then I want, honestly, Sonny Styles. I don't want him in the safety role anymore. I think he's a linebacker. He just, Maryland did go after him a little bit in the passing game yesterday, and he's not great in coverage, but I think he would be great in coverage as a linebacker when he's strictly covering like tight ends or running backs. But if he's covering like slot receivers or something, he's like a fish out of water out there, man. He is a great athlete, but he doesn't have great short burst.
Well, they had to take him out early in the game yesterday because he wasn't able to cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that explains it. Yeah, he can't.
Yeah.
At least, and not certain players he can't.
No, not. And yesterday, I didn't in detail see what matchup was giving him trouble, but his guy was getting loose, and they had to take him out of the game. They had to substitute him and go a different direction.
Did they put in Jordan Hancock at that slot corner?
That's a good question. I just saw that he had given up a couple of plays, and he came out. And I was kind of making a note about that, and I didn't really pay attention who went in for him.
Yeah, well, I will tell you this, man. I really do feel like our absolute best passing defense or third down defense in the nickel package would be Denzel Burke, Davison Igbinosun, Jordan Hancock at the slot. Then you have Lathan Ransom and who's our other opposite safety? I'm losing him.
Proctor?
Yeah, Josh Proctor, who had a pick six. Why did I miss that? Great job by Josh Proctor and our safeties yesterday. I know I shit on Lathan Ransom earlier in the year, but he's having a good season. So props to him. He has redeemed himself for the failures he had the last 2 years. But yeah, Lathan Ransom and Josh Proctor at safety with Alex Styles and CJ Hicks at linebacker. Man, oh man. That is a Alabama, Georgia level defense, maybe even more talented than what they have. But we don't play them. And you know what? It's like recruiting rankings are sometimes, most of the time, right. Because Tommy and Steele, they were very, very low ranked 4-star players. They were borderline 3-star players. So, they're living up to like their recruiting ranking. They probably were surpassed at some, but they were very low 4 stars for a reason.
Yeah. And there's a reason Tommy came back because he probably got a 5th to 7th round draft grade. I mean,
he's not an NFL player, and he won't be after this year either. He'll just make the practice squad. He might be lucky at the absolute best to be a backup somewhere, 3rd string, but he'll never be a starter in the NFL. No fucking way.
Yeah, I mean, Tommy's path to the NFL is to make a squad, be on a special teams, find a niche in special teams, and maybe in 2 or 3 years he might could develop into some playing time. That's probably his best case scenario.
He needs to be like the Donnie Nicky as a linebacker. Remember Donnie Nicky, our safety?
Yeah.
I love Donnie Nicky, man. That dude can lay the wood. But he needs to be like Donnie Nicky as a linebacker. Donnie Nicky was basically the same, but he played safety. But Tommy needs to do it as a linebacker. That's his only shot. But go
ahead.
I know you said that we briefly made mention of this, but our best win is now off the table. Best quality win is now off. I wouldn't say it's off the table, but it's lacking. It's diminished, losing a lot of credibility now. Notre Dame is not a good team. They screw us. I went on my rant about them 2 weeks ago, and they probably wanted to stick it to Ohio State by losing to Louisville. But man, they're lucky to be a top. I hate them
again, Jay, and I want them to lose from here on out. I just hate them again. I just want them to lose from here on out.
I can't go that far, man, because like I said, my love for Ohio State is greater than my hate for Notre Dame. Next year, I'm back to hating Notre Dame a lot. Want them to lose every game, but we do need their help. And they need to recover and beat USC, because then, that win over Notre Dame is not looking great anymore. It's honestly just looking like a normal win or whatever, really hard fought win on the road, but not against a non-quality opponent. But Notre Dame needs to rebound and beat USC this week. But I will say this, the schedule makers didn't do them any favors, but at the same time, having to play Ohio State, then again, Duke, Louisville on the road, both night games, and now USC. But at the same time, that's what happens when you're not in a conference, man.
Yeah.
Those teams choose.
Yeah.
I think that's how it works.
Yeah, they've got.
But who would have ever guessed that Louisville and Duke were going to be good this year?
Yeah, they've got a tough schedule, no doubt. But if you're a good team, you just don't look the way they look 2 weeks in a row. Like let's say they looked like they did last week. You come out and you handle Louisville, or let's say they lose last week in a close game. Then you come out and you handle Louisville the next week. But they basically were almost beat against Duke and then beat very handily, very convincingly against Louisville. They're just not a good team. I don't see them beating USC. It would be nice, like, if they did, it would give that win some credibility. I don't see it. As bad as USC's defense is, I don't know if that bad Notre Dame offense can exploit it enough to score enough points to keep up with Caleb Williams and the USC passing attack.
Yeah, that's really going to be interesting. I tell you what, because if USC is able to go into Notre Dame and dice them up, son, what does that say about Ohio State's offense?
Good point.
Yeah. I guess you can hope for it. We're just getting better slowly. Now, I have a question. Do you think on a neutral field that Maryland would beat Notre Dame? Who do you think wins on a neutral field?
Well, based on what I've seen the last 2 weeks, I definitely think Maryland could play with Notre Dame and give them trouble. I don't know. I don't know what to think of Maryland yet, because their schedule was so weak leading up to Ohio State. I think it was did you know Maryland had like the 152nd?
Yeah, it was a very weak
the
schedule.
152nd strongest schedule in the country, Jay. FCS teams had stronger schedules than Maryland coming into this game.
And I did see they struggled with Charlotte a little bit.
Yeah. So I don't know what to think about them. I think they're a decent football team. I think they're a 7-8 win football team. I don't know. It's hard to say. They probably could play with Notre Dame, because I don't think Notre Dame's very good.
No, I don't. Yeah, I honestly, if I were like Vegas, I would say on a neutral field, Notre Dame would be favored by 3. Yeah. I'd say I think Notre Dame would probably win like 24-21 or something. Yeah, it'd be very close.
Yeah, they'd probably end up being able to out physical them, but
maybe Notre Dame really can't run the ball. They can't run the ball in Louisville at all.
No, they couldn't.
I wouldn't say Louisville's any more talented than Maryland. Duke isn't.
I wouldn't think so. No, I wouldn't think
they
so.
Are.
Jay,
We have a visitor tonight. Mittens, say hello.
Really? Oh, Mittens. There we go.
Mittens, say hello to everyone. Say hello to the crowd. Say hi. She's been here listening. Okay. If you didn't know, I kept looking over.
All right. Hi. Well, she's taking in the information.
Taking in the show. She's not happy with Ohio State. She's not happy that
then I'm with Mittens, because I'm not happy with Ohio State right now either.
Yeah.
And in fact, I'm so unhappy with them. Here is my hot take.
Okay.
I don't see this team escaping without 2 losses unless something drastically changes. I know that you think that they're going to go into the Michigan game undefeated, and they might, but I really don't see this team escaping this season without 2 losses unless something drastically changes in the play calling, the offensive scheme, and or the offensive line play. Like, if we're going to continue to play this way, like the offensive line has to play a lot better, I don't really see that happening. So then the other option is Ryan Day is going to have to go back to the drawing board and stop doing whatever it is that he has been trying to do. these last these last few weeks, or I think it's highly possible that they drop 2 games. Now I don't know which two. Probably Penn State and Michigan. Penn State's not a world beater, but they're good enough to beat a team that played, the way that Ohio State played much of the game yesterday.
Oh boy. Yeah, man. I can't disagree with anything you just said, man. I can just listen. The only question I have for you is, where is our all right, so you say we're as of now, you expect us to have 2 losses on the season, not 2 losses heading into Michigan, correct?
Yeah, 2 losses post Michigan, because this team right
Okay.
now, is not going into Ann Arbor and winning.
I agree.
Watched the whole Michigan game yesterday.
I agree. My question is, where is the other loss coming?
I think that there's 2 possibilities.
Okay.
I think that that James Franklin possibly comes into Columbus and throws the kitchen sink, because
they will. No, they are going to throw the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
The question is that enough to go into Ohio Stadium and beat a good Ohio State team? Not a great, but a good Ohio State team at home.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how they execute. If they start off slow and the offense drags throughout the entire first half, Penn State's not a team that is going to probably be 10-7 at halftime, or 10-10, or whatever it was at halftime. And Penn State's a team that easily could be 14-3 at halftime if they come out and play the way that they played against Maryland. And then that's a tough battle to overcome against a good team in the second half. Now, could they beat Penn State? Yes, obviously. I think they could. I think that they've got more talent than Penn State, but I think Penn State will be the best defense that they've played, and probably the best overall football team that they've played up to that point. I don't think there's any question about that.
Well, I will say this. I think Maryland has a better offense than Penn State. Honestly, I do. I think they do.
They could. I mean,
Penn State's defense is better.
Yeah.
But Maryland has a better offense, so they're not the best offense we played.
Probably not. No, I think they're the best overall team that will have played. And
no, I agree. And I just, again, until Penn State, again, I would say right now Ohio State and Penn State are pretty even teams. Ohio State's at home. You just got to give them the edge there. I just have a hard time believing Penn State's going to go into Ohio Stadium and win. But it could happen. I mean, they have the talent to do it. I don't think James Franklin's as bad of a head football coach as everyone says. Ryan Day's had as many blunders as him, but he just doesn't have the talent. James Franklin doesn't have the same talent Ryan Day has to get away with it.
No, he doesn't. And, another game that the only other game that would be a possibility, if they get through Penn State, they're probably okay until they get to Michigan. The only other game that would be a possibility, and it's a long shot, but I don't totally take it off the table, is Wisconsin at night in Camp Randall. And that's the only
and that's right after Penn State. And I understand your concerns, but the more I watch Wisconsin, the more I'm like, man, that team is not very good. They're struggled with Rutgers at home. I think they only beat Rutgers like 24-13, and one of their scores came on a pick 6. Like Rutgers was driving, and
they cannot pass the ball.
6. Yeah,
Wisconsin cannot pass the ball.
Yeah, no, they can't. Their offense just sucks, and their defense is, I think, solid, but they're just so damn slow.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just, they're just slow. I thought they would have a little bit of influx of, speed and athleticism for their program a little bit this year with their transfers and stuff, but they didn't do enough.
So here's what it very well could boil down to. Let's say I'm wrong, and let's say that Ohio State sails through and they're 11-0 heading into Ann Arbor. It boils down to Ryan Day has to beat Jim Harbaugh, or Jim Harbaugh wins the East and is going to Indianapolis, because I don't think, anything can happen, but Michigan is a case very much like Georgia, that they really don't play anybody that's going to give them a big challenge until they play Ohio State. So it's very difficult for me to see any other scenario other than an 11-0 Michigan playing a whatever kind of record Ohio State has at that point, whether it's 11-0 or
Yeah.
whether it's 10-1.
I completely agree. I agree. This product Ohio State has on the field right now, honestly, they need to do all the substitution changes we both went over, but they need to, Kyle McCord the second half of the Maryland game needs to be the entire game for them to have a chance because, coming out like they did against Maryland, they'll get stomped by Michigan. You just can't get away with that. Michigan's they're a legit college football playoff team, but they're probably a college football playoff team that will lose in the first round, just like they always do, because
Probably.
Jim Harbaugh, he's figured out the Big Ten. He's figured out Ohio State. He has not figured out how to win big time out of conference games. He has not. He is an absolute fucking failure. But at the same time, the Big Ten's not very good either. And because it's not very good, he's also the best head coach in the conference. And I've said that, and I'll continue to say that. So I just want to leave on one thing, Michael, one thing. And this is where my rage comes in. I have seen complaints from fans, from other podcasters, that Ohio Stadium is not hip enough. It's not like, modern enough for the recruits. And they don't have like DJs and a light show and stupid fucking garbage rap music just blaring throughout the stadium the entire game.
So does like Alabama and Georgia have that or what?
Supposedly Alabama does. I visited Georgia last year. I didn't see any such thing. I just have a question for these fucking fans and these people. Are you that incompetent that you need entertainment at a football game outside of the product that is actually going on? What are you there to do? It's like an Office Space. Like, what would you say you do here?
Yeah.
Like, it's the same thing. Like, what are you doing here for?
Yeah.
Why are you going to a football game and expect to be entertained with things outside of the football game? Is the football game not enough for you? Is the Ohio State marching band not enough for you? Is the stadium ambiance not enough for you? Like, what is the problem? I feel like some people that are complaining about that, I think they have mental disorder. There's something wrong.
Well, I would want to see what they're comparing it to. Like, I would want to see what these.
I think they're comparing it to like Alabama. I've heard some other podcasts say Alabama, their light show and like their music playing and blasting through the stadium. It's such a cool, hip thing. Like,
okay,
fuck you guys, man. Like,
well, I mean, one of the things is like we never play at night, so you can't really do that for noon and 3:30 games, like light shows and stuff. Can you?
Probably not. Yeah, you're right. We never play it night, and that's fine. I think night games are overrated. Personally, they're not. They're maybe a little louder, and that's it.
Yeah. I would like to see what it is that they're so impressed with at Alabama. I haven't seen it. I don't know. Maybe it's cool. Maybe it's not. But, I haven't been to an Ohio State game since 2017.
Oh, shit. That's right, man. You have not been going. Wow.
No, I've not been going.
Wow.
When Ryan Day got hired in 2019, a part of my Ohio State soul died. And I just haven't gone.
And dude, man, I'm no Ryan Day lover either, man. But I think you dislike him more than I do, which is amazing. But hey, that's why we're doing a podcast together.
I have got my prediction. You were closer on your prediction last week than I was. I predicted, I think 30-23. And you predicted what?
34-21.
21. Yeah. So you were closer than I was. I am predicting this week against Purdue.
Yeah, man, Purdue this week. I'm sorry we didn't really cover Purdue, but just know this. Purdue sucks. If Ohio State doesn't win by a substantial amount, there's a problem. I saw Purdue play against Syracuse a couple weeks ago. They suck. They just lost to Iowa yesterday in a close game. Purdue sucks, everyone. Do not be worried about them. Are you writing down your prediction?
All right. My prediction for Purdue is 38-14.
Okay. Are you do I need to give a prediction too?
If you want, I mean, that's up to you. Go ahead and give one.
42 to 13.
42-13. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And the offense actually breaks through a little bit on the road.
There we go. All right, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully, my frustration wasn't too much for you. Maybe some of you guys are extremely happy with this. And if you are, God bless you for that. But I am not happy.
Yeah, Michael's got all the rage. Again, I was telling other people, like, I really can't complain too much. I mean, I did predict them to win by 13. They won by 20. I can't complain that much. Like, that would be a massive, like, hypocrite.
Last thing I'll say.
Okay.
Did you see at the halftime when Matt Leinart was poking at Urban? Did you see that at halftime?
I did not. I turned it off at halftime. Then I turned it back on.
Okay. Well, he was there, and Leinart says, "Hey, coach, who was the more physical team in that first half?" And Urban went, the look on his face said it all of what he was seeing over on the sideline, because they kept showing him during the first half standing on the sideline like this.
Man,
just watching.
I tell you what, dude, I know like a lot of people, I know you hold Urban in high esteem and stuff like that, but man, those last couple of years were they were worse than the product that Ryan Day has on the field now, personally. I mean, Ryan Day elevated the program slightly from Urban's last years, but he's been a step below Urban's first couple years. So he's like kind of in that middle ground. Like, he's not enough to win a title, but he's not bad enough to get blown out by fucking Iowa and Purdue either. So there.
Yeah, I mean, 2018 was a weird year. They were 13-1, and they had transitioned to this passing offense and struggled to run the ball, and the defense, lost Bosa and just had issues with Alex Grinch and Schiano. So 2018 was a weird year, but at the end, it was still 13-1, and they beat 3 top 10 teams that year. I just like Urban a lot better than Ryan Day. I like everything about Urban's 7 years more than anything about Ryan Day's 4.
Yeah, I like Ryan Day's offense is a lot better than Urban.
Yeah, I understand that. That. JT Barrett, grated on my nerves, and I was critical of Urban about not finding a better quarterback. But yeah, bottom line, the look on Urban's face was they just got beat on the line of scrimmage by Maryland for an entire half. I know they ended up covering the spread in the second half. That's good. But I still, when I predicted 30-23, I was predicting 30-23 of controlling Maryland, of, giving up a few points, and of, really looking like they had the physical edge. And that's not what I saw. I saw a better defense, a defense that really helped out on offense, and an offense that finally, figured out, hey, we've got these really good receivers that we should throw it to. And, that's how we got to the score we got to. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this team's getting better, and maybe things are going to be great here in the next few weeks. I hope so.
I will say this. You want to talk about physicality and stuff and coaching, but I feel like what Urban, what he did at the beginning there was really a product of what Tressel had built, and he used a lot of those players too, because Jim Tressel really started to get it going again in his last 2 years. I mean, in 2009, he won the Rose Bowl. Then in 2010, he got the SEC monkey off our back and beat Arkansas in their backyard. And that 2010 team was loaded. And then the next year, they were going to bring back all those guys with Pryor. And then Tressel gets, fired, and Pryor is gone. Like, Tressel was starting to really build something again, and then got taken out from under him. So, yeah, that's why he's up there in the corner.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I like Tressel, and
I like Tressel a lot.
I think that Tressel was while he was
as long as he opened up the offense.
Yeah,
because they always had attention to detail on both sides of the ball. He was hyper conservative, but they did never beat themselves. They were always great on special teams. They were always fundamentally sound on defense, even though they weren't as athletic as they are now or
Mhm.
under Urban. And
Mhm.
offensively, man, that was physical football. That was powerful football, and they had sneaky good offensive skill for
Mhm.
Tressel. He just never
Mhm.
used it. But when he did, teams could never stop them. But he
Mhm.
just didn't do it. So I don't know. I don't have anything else to say. We're an hour and 10 minutes into this thing. We love you guys. Michael, do you have anything else?
I'm out. I'm good. I'm exhausted.
Yeah, let's get out of here, man.
All
It's
right.
late. Let's get some rest.
See everybody.
See you, everyone.
Have a great week. See you next week.